What, you don't like Harlequin up here?
Well,
Yeah, little Harlequin P. Oh,
what's
such
going
a
on, man?
not much. Such a good girl. Oh, yes, puppy. All right, fine.
Hey, what's up, Alex? Hey, yeah. So Alex was texting me earlier in the middle of my stream, fucker. I was kidding. That somehow, some way through his work interacted with Mike Dirnt.
Who?
Mike Dirnt, the bassist from Green Day.
Oh,
I'm like, that's cool.
I once knew a guy that did cover songs for Green Day.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
Me either. Heard he moved to Japan.
Yeah, one of them did. He actually loves it out there. I spoke to him a little while ago. He does. He teaches English over there. So to me, that tells me he must speak fluent Japanese.
No, that is not true at all whatsoever.
It
You
was
actually,
a guess.
you guessed wrong. You don't actually have to speak fluent because you would just be a higher level of English teaching. You're not teaching them, you're teaching them more conversational English, and you could even have like a basic understanding of Japanese, but no, really, you don't need to. Like, if you wanted to, you, Mr. Horn, could go over to Japan, and teach. Oops, I'm screwing this up. There we go.
Why are you screwing things up?
I don't know. I panicked. But hold on, I forgot to pull your stream up. Let me go give you your view. I'm bad at this. I'm still learning. There. But yeah.
My processor's still clocking in at 78 degrees, so that's why I've been needing to switch back to Streamlabs OBS.
All right.
Even right now, I think it also is just the weather. This room fucking cooks. So
there you go, Alex. Just for you. We'll set it at 0 for now. But we should just start him off with a 5, because I mean we know it's going to be there in the first few minutes of
yourself. No, but there is a movie of discussion.
Oh, okay. What is the movie?
Black Widow. Did you see it?
I have no intentions of seeing it.
It's a good movie.
Okay, coming from you, that means that it's probably horrible in the eyes of most.
No, because again, the MCU has never done a bad film. You can rack and stack the films, and yeah, there's going to be movies at the bottom of your list. Whoever, anyone's list. There's going to be films at the bottom. Where Black Widow ranks and all that, I don't know. I wouldn't say the top because I have my issues with it. But those are very small, minor issues. The film was good overall.
Here's the problem. Outside of the Avengers coming to like the mainstream thing and everything else, of all the people on the Avengers, I'm sorry, but no one cared about Black Widow's backstory. Until Scarlett Johansson played Black Widow, and all of a sudden now everyone wants to, because I mean, come on, we want to see her ass in tight leather. All right.
There are several ass shots specifically of ScarJo and Florence Pugh.
Okay, fine. And literally, that's the same thing that Megan Fox did in Transformers. All right, like. But the whole thing is that until the Avengers like brought Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson out into the public, and like, hey, this is a person. Stupid fly. No one gave a shit. Black Widow was just whatever. I mean, there is an argument to be made that Cloak and Dagger should have been brought out from the Spider-Man universe long before Black Widow ever did shit. Because at least they have a decent backstory to them.
But you also have to remember, I don't know where Cloak and Dagger fit in the whole equation, but because I think they were trying to do a TV series on that.
So Cloak and Dagger are people from Spider-Man. Okay, it's the same.
No, that I knew. I'm talking about actually bringing them to a screen, and I think they were trying to do a TV show on them, but I don't know if they cameoed or it got canceled. But
and
you gotta remember, Cloak and Dagger is under the Spider-Man universe, which originally was under Sony, and that was before they did the deal with Marvel. So there is a logistical issue with licensing that Marvel just simply could not do.
I get all of that, all right,
Yeah.
and I understand that they're
Yeah.
working within their like restrictions and the restraints that they happen to have, and that's cool and all, right? But when it boils down to it, like there are so many other things out there that they could be doing these stories on rather than what they're doing. Like, I'm sorry, same thing. Like, no one gave two shits about Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is hilarious. Don't get me wrong. Paul Rudd is funny.
There's actually two subjects of debate. So Black Widow, I believe, is not one of the original incantations of the Avengers, but Ant-Man is. So again, dealing with the licensing universe that Marvel had to deal with, they had Black Widow, they had Ant-Man. Why it is I kind of like the incantation that they use for the Avengers film rather than introducing Ant-Man that early on. But when it came to the Ant-Man film, they did bring in the aspect that Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man. So they did sort of retcon a few things. They didn't make any indication of whether or not Hank Pym actually interacted with Thor or Banner or anything like that. But at least they made him exist. So,
all right, let's see here. The
original lineup.
Yep. Much like the Justice League, assembled of superheroes, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, solo blah blah blah.
You just go to Wikipedia.
I'm trying to find it, but so it does look like.
I know Ant-Man was one of the original ones. Avengers comics.
Yeah, it all depends on which one, because in one of them, fucking what's her face is in it. Is
so Ant-Man, the Wasp, Iron Man, and Thor, and the Hulk.
Which means that, again, I'm sorry, but Hawkeye, no one gives two shits about Hawkeye. He's literally just a dude with a bow, all right? I'd be much more interested in Deadshot from the Daredevil thing than Hawkeye, because at least he's funny. Hawkeye is just trash. Black Widow, again, no one gave two shits about Black Widow until she was hot and a redhead.
What's funny is Alex is touching on this right now. Even Jeremy Renner mentioned that in some interview. I do remember him saying that. It's like nobody gives a fuck about Hawkeye, which in part is kind of true. It's just the way they introduced him in the films is a lot more interesting than they did in the comics, from the best that I can tell. And they're like, okay, Hawkeye and Black Widow don't have fucking superpower abilities. They're not superhuman. But what can compensate for that? You make them the most elite assassins.
You make them hot. Most women would not mind being in a room with Jeremy Renner for like a few minutes alone, all right? Just like I love my girlfriend, but if Scarlett Johansson came by and it was just like, hey, end your stream right now, and okay, Darren, I'm out. All right? Like...
And don't get me, you're correct. And I think Marvel probably had it in their mind that they needed someone of the caliber of ScarJo. So why not fucking ScarJo? And it worked. Quite frankly, if they had casted anybody else as Black Widow, I don't think it would have been as successful. Marvel's done very good at casting everybody. So,
I mean, I guess. Okay, so as far as the MCU, yes, I will. Well, actually, a lot of their villains have been trash. Like the actual heroes themselves have been fine, but Loki, I'm sorry, they could have found someone so much better to play Loki.
Are you kidding? Tom Hiddleston's fucking hilarious as Loki.
Yeah, but
great.
He could have been better. Like there could have been.
I don't think so.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, and I know that he's a part of the whole thing as Doctor Strange, but I think that Cucumber, whatever, Cabbage Patch would have made a better Loki.
No. So, all right, the one freebie I might give you in terms of villains in the MCU, I can't remember who the dude that played Whiplash, Mickey Rourke.
See,
his name is in Iron Man 2.
I actually like Mickey Rourke as an actor.
And I do too, but he didn't do it for me as a villain in Iron Man 2.
Okay, fair.
But do I still like him as that villain? Yes. Could there have been someone better? Yes. He's the only one that comes to mind.
The fucking bald dude from Iron Man 1 could have been so much better. Like, the acting on his part was horrible.
What the hell is his name? You're talking about Obadiah Stane.
Yeah.
The actor that played.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jeff Bridges.
And
you the Big Lebowski? Are you kidding?
I didn't care for it. Like, and in all,
and you're trying to disqualify my opinion.
And there's a couple of others also. Like, let's see. Actually, I don't think Quicksilver was a good pick for the MCU.
What?
Didn't like Quicksilver.
Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Because
remember, there's two Quicksilvers. There's Aaron Taylor Johnson from Avengers Age of Ultron, and then there's the one on the X-Men side.
Okay, the thing is that I liked the one on the X-Men side. And I think that's why I didn't like the one from the Avengers.
The one on the X-Men side was you might as well throw up a 1. In professional wrestling terms, it's called cheap heat. The one on the X-Men side, it was a dude typecasted for a funny role, and to make Quicksilver funny, and to make him appealing.
Okay, and
that's cheap heat. That's a cheap way of getting a character over.
Okay.
Whereas Aaron Taylor Johnson played a character that him and his sister had to deal with fucking suffering.
Okay, fine.
There's nothing funny about that.
But then we can just go into saying that, a Hawkeye and Scarlett Johansson purely got casted because they're hot. And so then that negates your whole argument. Scarlett Johansson is great, but she got casted because she's hot. No one cares about Black Widow.
Okay, did she not deliver as a credible Black Widow?
Did he not deliver as a really good Quicksilver?
No, he didn't.
Oh my God.
At least not in my eyes. And I kind of fault the X-Men side because that was still under Fox, and Fox had a completely different way of doing films. So that's kind of a fair point. Fox's versions of the X-Men were like the last iterations of how superhero movies were done. And Sony is the only one that got smart. They're like, well, we're fucking this up. Marvel's doing something right with their own shit that they didn't license out to anybody else. So let's just sign Spider-Man back to them because they'll do it justice.
And the Spider-Man ones, I'm honestly, other than Spider-Man 2, I was fine with like majority of the Spider-Man movies that came out.
I was a bigger fan of the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, than I was of Tobey Maguire. I hate Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I liked it, I especially liked him in the first Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, that was the first 3.
Because it was so new to him, and everyone else seems like they are trying to be Tobey Maguire. Like, granted, they're being a better Tobey Maguire than Tobey Maguire is, but like that whole idea of like finding out that you have superpowers and everything else, like most of the people that had done it in the past had failed miserably at it. And he was one of the first ones that I think did a really good job of like, I have powers, I'm trying to figure out how to use them, I'm over here like, web out, okay, that didn't work, this didn't work. And the thing is you should hate all of it because it wasn't, canon. It wasn't to the comics, it wasn't to this, it wasn't to that. He never shot web out of his hand. It was little canisters that were placed into his like gloves in his wrists.
Right. I actually, so of the Tobey Maguire series, I could actually appreciate what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it a more, take the hokum of being bitten by a radioactive spider and what would it do to the human body? Okay, web shooters in the wrist. Sure, that makes sense. I get what they tried to do. As far as the canon storylines, the only comic I ever followed, which was of Spider-Man series, was Venom and Carnage. And so I was brand spanking new to the Spider-Man universe. When I first saw the film, I was bored. I'm like, Tobey Maguire does not entertain me as a Spider-Man. him in the spider suit and all the digital animated fucking sequences was more entertaining than watching Tobey Maguire act. And come to find out years later that Peter Parker is actually kind of a sarcastic dick. Oh, okay, cool. So Tobey Maguire really failed. Whereas Andrew Garfield got that right. He got the sarcasm right. I don't think he was as believable as a Peter Parker in a general sense, but he at least had that personality down point.
But
Whereas
that
Tom
was,
Holland is hands down the perfect pick as Spider-Man. 100%.
I don't know. Tom Holland is the same person as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and they're supposed to be two totally different people. He is that, like, I don't know anything, let me lick your boot Tony Stark character in both things.
Right. But he also alludes it, and it's very. This is what I love about Marvel too. Is if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss it like that. And in his first introduction, when he's talking with Tony Stark, he talks about that. He's like, when you do the things that I can do, but you don't, and then the bad things happen. He's talking about having to live two different lives.
I don't know. Like I said, I know I agree that Tom Holland is the best of the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man can Alec Baldwin. Spider-Man can still be killed as a teenager. Superhero, he would joke in the heat of battle to calm his mind. There you go. And Tom Holland, I think will agree with that. Is he is by far the best Spider-Man. But going back to Black Widow, the film. Spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen it, just in case. The only issues I had with the film, because I thought the film was great. If you don't know who Florence Pugh is, she is gorgeous. To start, this film is supposed to be a passing of the baton to the next Black Widow, because as we all know in Avengers Endgame, Natasha Romanoff dies. So I thought they handled the character. I actually negate that. Yelena Boleva, I can't remember what her last name is, but Yelena. I thought they did her 100% justice. I don't think Rachel Weisz's character, Melina, came over as good. I thought she could have been better. Originally in the comics, I believe the Red Guardian and Black Widow are actually husband and wife at one point. In this film, they made him a father figure to Black Widow.
Which means that you should hate it because it's not canon.
Not necessarily, because if you place the point in time,
I'm trying to figure out where you draw your lines on this shit.
Hang on. Black Widow is introduced in the Avengers, right? The first, or actually, no, Iron Man 2. She was introduced in Iron Man 2. So that would make her existence circa 2010, right? Let's throw an age at her. I believe Arnim Zola, the Zola computer, mentions the name. I think it was 1985.
Okay, so she's our age.
All right. Around our age. All right. If that would place her at the time of Iron Man 2, that would place her at, if she was born in 85 and the movie came out in 2010, that would make her what, 25?
Yep.
At the time? Okay. She was already introduced, and the way they introduced the Red Guardian is he was already easily in his 30s. So I kind of understand that having the Red Guardian, Alexei, was part of the super soldier program that they introduced with Hydra. Because Hydra was able to replicate it.
I still don't understand how you're okay with some things being canon, but not other things. Like, your lines are all over the place.
I've said it many times before. If you need to change one or two minor details to make things relevant, I am 100% okay with it.
I'm sorry, but if you turn hubby into daddy, that's an issue, okay?
Really? So Hydra was already established in recreating the super soldier serum. Who's part of that program? The Winter Soldier.
By the way, Bucky was also a horrible pick for that entire role. Like, he was boring as...
Yeah. You are no more credible than I am as a movie pick.
You have no credibility. You judge movies. You judge movies without even seeing them.
You have a horrible taste in actors.
No, it's the guy's acting the whole time through. He had the face of a lost puppy and would randomly want to punch things. Like, I'm sorry, but The Winter Soldier as a whole was, in my eyes, just a bad movie. It was the worst of those movies other than the original Hulk.
No. Oh my god. Yeah, your opinion is no longer valid.
Explain to me why.
The original Hulk film was fucking horrible.
Right, like I said. Other than the original Hulk movie.
Sebastian Stan is a perfect fucking Winter Soldier, and the Winter Soldier film, Captain America 2, is by far one of the best as a sci-fi espionage.
Well, if you want to, break it down into a sci-fi espionage that runs exactly 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 15 seconds, it's the greatest one of those of all time. But as we've been talking about with all these other movies, if you compare it to other things and other people's acting, then no, it's...
Nope. Yeah, your opinion is no longer credible with me.
Darren, you've been giving opinions about movies you've never seen and expecting credibility.
Because I stand by my statement. You're no longer credible.
Captain Marvel, I never saw. Never.
Captain Marvel was okay. I would probably place Captain Marvel not at the bottom of the list, but kind of near it. Well, my list.
Black Panther, honestly.
Same with Black Panther for me.
Huh?
Same with Black Panther for me. Black Panther, they could have done a better job of making it. I get the meteor that gave them the what's it called, the vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it would have made them technologically superior and all that. They could have made it a little bit more realistic. It just reminded me too much of Thor Ragnarok meets Guardians of the Galaxy meets Star Wars.
So for me, it was actually the fact that I did not like most of the Black Panther supporting cast. They were all just the stereotypes, and they literally could have been filled by anybody.
That is fair. I like the dude that played M'Baku, and I like the dude that played Shuri.
I don't even remember their names. I've seen the movie once. Most of the movies that you're talking about, I have seen either once, maybe twice, and if it's a second time, I've only partially watched them, because I don't know, there's a bad guy. Okay, what are we gonna do? I don't know, let's make a plan. Okay, what's the plan? This is the plan. Okay, we fucked up the plan. Now what are we gonna do? We'll improvise. Something blows up, everything's fine. I have given you the synopsis for every single one of the Marvel movies. And all they do is just go with their cookie cutter thing all the way through, whether it is a spaceship, whether it is a train, whether it is a Formula One race, or it is in the mountains of Afghanistan. It is issue, blow up, done.
Yeah, you're not convincing me to change my...
I'm not trying to get you to change your opinion. I don't want you to change your opinion. You have your opinions, Darren, and some of them are unfounded, some of them are wrong, and that's okay. But for the most part, I'm not trying to get you to change your opinions of anything. It's just that I'm not one of these fanboys for the Marvel comics. I'm much more about the... Yeah, thank you. That's all it is. I just gave you the Cliff Notes, Missa. Don't bother watching the 12 days of movies you'd have to watch. I'm much more into the X-Men series, because those are the comics that I grew up with.
I hated the X-Men series. The only ones of the X-Men series that I liked, I thought X2 was good. X-Men First Class was good, and Days of Future Past.
Okay, and you should not like any of them, because Jubilee does not exist. In the storylines that they are supposed to, within that entire thing, they don't exist. Rogue is actually in the same universe as Captain Marvel, and that's how Rogue's supposed to get her powers, is sucking them out of Captain Marvel. You should not like X-Men at all whatsoever, and Captain Marvel technically shouldn't really exist anymore, because she has no powers, because Rogue held on to her for too damn long, and completely destroyed anything that she had.
So, the only comic book story I ever cared to follow, ever cared to read, which means if I didn't care to read it, I never did, is Venom.
But I'm letting you know that these are not canon, and to your thing, if it's not canon, if you change something huge, like completely getting rid of a character, or adding in a character...
you're going to bring up an old topic, it's not even the fact that I have anything to do with the knowledge on the subject matter. It's the fact that the acting was horrible. The storyline was trash. Nothing was good about that fucking film. And I got shitted on it for not having seen it, knowing that I was right before the film ever came out. And lo and behold, people told me, hey, you were right. If you know nothing of the lore, it might be a good film. But no, I just get shitted on anyway.
X2 was good, Logan was good. Honestly, I really like the Days of Futures Past would have been good if they had stuck to the comics. I just wish they had actually decided whether they wanted to go and he's gone. 34 minutes, man, you're right on time. The whole thing with like that entire thing is I wish that they would have either gone with the comics or with the animated series. Like trying to do a little bit of both, I think is what actually screwed them on that entire thing. As far as casting goes, what the fuck is his name? Patrick Stewart is an amazing Professor X. All right, like
100%.
I mean, I absolutely love that man. Ian McKellen?
Yeah, Ian McKellen is the Patrick Stewart's the older, and Ian McKellen is the older. I forget the names of the younger two. Because they were, in my opinion, I thought they were both great too.
They were. And Jennifer Lawrence was an amazing young Mystique. And Rebecca Romaine Stamos was an amazing older Mystique. They completely fucked up Juggernaut. Fine, whatever. I'm not even getting into that portion of it.
I like that Juggernaut better than Deadpool's.
The problem is that it was not the Juggernaut. It was the Juggernaut is supposed to be like a 9-foot tall, like this, just the behemoth of a thing. Like it's supposed to be the Hulk but larger, and it should have been a bunch of CGI and everything else. And everything that he did, all of his powers and everything were supposed to be from his helmet, and that was the end of it. Like that was what it was.
I thought the Deadpool Juggernaut was just cheesy looking.
That's all.
I'm like with a bigger budget, they could have done a better job.
But Alex is right. The Deadpool Juggernaut was much more comic accurate. Like the guy was drawn completely out of portion, and yeah, it was done badly, but it was much more there. Something about our.
I still thought the Juggernaut from what was it, X-Men 3?
Whatever. Like the actor, fine, but the whole thing is that he's not actually a mutant. He actually gets mutant powers bestowed upon him by like an Aztecian thing that then gives him his helmet and blah blah blah. Whatever. Phoenix, I could not stand the entire Phoenix storyline because that actually had nothing to do with the comic at all whatsoever, which is actually X2, I believe.
I don't remember. But
X2 or Mark, was X2 or X3 Phoenix? I think
X3 was Phoenix.
Might have been X3 because Phoenix is supposed to be this alien that pretty much possesses Jean Grey that then becomes Phoenix. Like that's how the whole thing is supposed to happen, and there's supposed to be some shit that happens in space, and it was just I don't know. Beast, same thing. He's supposed to be huge, and I didn't really care for the whole thing.
I liked both Beasts. I liked Kelsey Grammer's Beast better.
As the characters that they were playing, 100%, I agree. They did what they were supposed to. But there was supposed to be a character in there that creates a lot of the drama and a lot of this stuff during Days of Futures Past and all this other thing, and it was supposed to be Morph. Like, a lot of Wolverine's hatred for the humans and a lot of that, like, badassery and everything else was because his best friend dies. It's literally in the very first story arc of the animated series. And then you find out he doesn't actually die, blah, 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 whatever. But you go to find out that there's a bunch of these people that are actually related, and none of them were ever brought up in the storyline. Like, Nightcrawler is supposed to be the son of Mystique, who was married or did something with Mr. Strange or something like that, which is technically makes her related to Scott Summers, which is Cyclops. Jean Grey at one point in one storyline was actually the daughter of Professor X, not just someone that he picked up off the street.
So, okay, let me present this argument then. All right. As someone who never read the comics, you clearly know way more than I do
Okay.
about the X-Men series. All right. Is it a fair argument to say, with how much you just tree branched fucking Mystique
Yeah.
just now? All right.
And I can tell you why that's able to happen, but go ahead.
All right. With how much you just tree branched Mystique,
Yes.
is it fair to the writers of the X-Men series to say that we have to come up with a way of introducing only so many characters, or run the risk of losing the audience specifically to cater to fanboys?
So,
Because as we all very well know, if you were to take $20 of the entire fanboy audience of comic books, it will not equate anywhere near what a box office smash could be.
okay.
Which X-Men 1 was a box office smash. Spider-Man 1 was a box office smash. All the superhero films that everyone was waiting to see were all box office smashes.
Yes. Okay. So, and I actually brought it up when you had DC'd. I don't know if you heard me. If they had stuck with either the comics or the animated series and wasn't trying to like weave back and forth between the two of them, they would have done great. If they had actually done the Days of Futures Past with the Sentinel program, with the Tracking Down of Mutants, and just went straight with the animated series, absolutely 100% it would have worked that way. But they
I'm
tried
talking about, like, the number of characters that are involved in a lot of these stories.
But that's so the whole thing is that the more you find out about people, the more that you end up, finding out about people. Like now you're finding about, let's just take Black Widow. I haven't seen it, but you find out about all these other people that were not introduced into anything else. Okay, so now you're introducing all of these other people. If the X-Men and their universe had 28 movies, like the MCU does, you'd be getting a lot more of these things, and that's fine. But to completely limit a lot of these things, where you're introducing characters and not showing how they're actually related to one another, that's where I start having these issues.
Right, and so the point I was trying to make is, when it came to the MCU films, where I kind of discredit you on, some of the actors that, or the choice of casting and the choice of stories, blah blah blah, or basically your MCU formula, where I discredit you on that is the fact that you cater so much to the X-Men saga, which was pure trash compared to the MCU in terms of storytelling, simply on the basis of the fact that there are so many missing links that they completely disregarded. Where I'm playing devil's advocate is Fox, in their creation of the X-Men series, they have 2 hours to get this story out. They're not thinking 25 films ahead. They're just thinking 3-part film and maybe a spinoff or two. But as history has shown, spinoffs has never worked. Whereas the MCU got the formula right. Introduce main characters first, maybe establish 1 or 2 supporting characters along the way, i.e. Black Widow and Iron Man 2, and then bring them along the way, depending on how popular they get with everybody else, like how, if you got the ingredients right. Then at one point, bring them all together. So what they should have done with the X-Men series is start with the Magneto storyline. Start with the Professor X storyline.
The problem is you can't, because there is no... Yes, Professor X has a story, I get that, but it's not Professor X. It is the X-Men. It is the Brotherhood of Mutants. It is not... Iron Man, on a standalone, had his own comic series and everything else, and you were fine with it.
What I loved about
Spider-Man
First Class
had everything that Spider-Man was in those other movies that weren't even under the MCU, that had nothing to do with all these other people. But if you were to have started the Avengers as a group of people and then tried to branch out on it, they would have probably failed the same way. You start out with this group of people known as the X-Men, and the whole thing was supposed to be, and like I said, if they had stuck with one or the other, it would have been better. So every one of the animated series of X-Men has brought in, normally it's a small female character that has no idea what her powers are. At one point it was Kitty Hawk, at another point it was Jubilee. There might have been another one at some point. But normally, the whole animated series or their story arcs always start with this mutant that is finding out she has powers, doesn't know how to deal with it, becomes, goes to Xavier School for the Gifted, becomes an X-Men through whatever. It's the same thing. It's formula, right?
Yeah. Right.
But it's the whole thing, like Guardians of the Galaxy, all right? Great standalone thing if you don't go into a bunch of the other things that are around Guardians of the Galaxy. If you don't actually go through and learn the story of Howard the Duck, you're totally fine. Because they introduce him in this little snippet and that's the end of it. But if you go into it...
Yeah, he was just an Easter egg.
Right, but there is more to Guardians of the Galaxy than just what we have seen in these couple of films.
Right, and so I would say that's the only issue I have with the Guardians of the Galaxy is the fact that there's more to each character that, this one... The Guardians of the Galaxy series, which is only technically 2 films if you don't count Infinity War and Endgame. In those 2 films is the classic studio's mistake of making superhero films. I put the MCU on a fucking pedestal because they introduced everything correctly. They take their time, they do the storytelling correctly, and they don't make it like, and this is the issue I have with the Black Widow film, is they don't make it like a Michael Bay fucking film. Whereas you said, explosions are fucking everywhere. All right? They really don't do that. The other issue I had with the Black Widow film is the Red Room. I was really hoping it would be more European Victorian or Russian Victorian sort of location and a little bit more discreet. If anyone has seen Ocean's 12, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the allure and the I guess overall history and architecture. Because if you go back to Age of Ultron, when Wanda Maximoff casts a spell on each one of them, she does it on Black Widow, and it's visions of her in the Red Room. Those were creepy as shit. Those few little snippets that you got of the Red Room, creepy as fuck. In the Black Widow film, they actually do a really good job of sort of reintroducing all that. It's just when it came to the Red Room itself, it was super far-fetched. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw it is where does Dreykov get all this money for all this fucking tech? All right. Good question to me.
So, Darren, do you just watch the same, 6 movies over and over again?
No, why?
Because your whole thing is, if you bring it up, there is, a 90% chance I have never seen it, but you were bringing up, minute details that I don't remember about majority of these movies. You've had to have seen them multiple times. So I'm just wondering, do you...
I have a good memory.
Do you watch these movies multiple times and that's why you don't watch anything else?
No, I just have a good memory.
Okay.
Ocean's 12, I love the Ocean series. Ocean's 12 is probably my lesser favorite, but again, I love history.
Are we talking original or the remake?
Oh, no, the remake.
Okay.
The original Ocean's 11, so the original Ocean's 11, the Frank Sinatra one, that's just Ocean's 11. There's no sequel or anything to that. Whereas the, what is his name? Dude that played Danny Ocean.
See, I'm horrible with actors' names.
Anyway, the dude from ER. That Ocean series I thought was great in on itself. It's just if you were to rack and stack them, I would say Ocean's 12 was my least favorite. But as a fan of history, I loved when they went to Europe and all that George Clooney, thank you. I loved when they did all that showcase all that architecture. And that's what I was really expecting with the Black Widow film, is to see that old school style architecture with a hidden base somewhere beneath it that has been undiscovered for fucking ever. That's what I was hoping for. Instead, it's this floating fortress in the sky bullshit. And I couldn't wrap my head around that. So, and then obviously, if you're going to bring the fortress down, obviously there's going to be explosions everywhere. There's going to be explosions everywhere. It's going to be a fucking Michael Bay film. So that is the only issue, the only major issue that I really had with the film. Everything else, in the very beginning of the film, I would say the first 15 minutes, the intro song is a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit. I thought it was a fantastic cover because it's creepy as fuck. and it's an overlay for an extremely creepy 3 fucking minutes of dealing with a modern issue, and that's human trafficking. I thought that was fantastic. They subtly threw that in there because Black Widow herself is a victim of human trafficking. I thought that was fantastic. And then the mere fact that the two of them aren't exactly sisters biologically, but they grew up. One doesn't care. The other one thinks it was real. Fantastic. I loved it. The only issue is the Michael Bay shit.
So is this just going to be a new thing now that they're just going to keep replacing the actors and actresses with new people, and then
well, it's not recast. It's not recasting for sure, but it looks to be.
It's not recasting, but it is. It's you know,
it's a passing of the baton, because you have to remember Chris Evans' contract already went up. I think Chris Hemsworth renewed his, or did a partial one for Thor 4 because he's in it.
Okay, there is no passing the torch of Thor. Like, I know that you could probably make something up, but there's no passing the torch of Thor. Like, that just doesn't happen.
Well, there again, and this is where I'm going to defend studios. Actors themselves are not superheroes, therefore they will not live forever. All right? As we have all unfortunately realized that we lost Chadwick Boseman last year. All right? So Chadwick Boseman was the Black Panther. They're now, I believe, they're recasting T'Challa, just so that way they can keep the Black Panther thing going.
But he can be recast, and it's not a recast. The torch can be handed down, because it is in his story. The torch can be handed down and everything else. The torch is not handed down from Captain America. Like, that's not a thing.
So in the comics, there's actually 2 people that carry the mantle of Captain America. One of them is Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. That's only at the blessing of Iron Man. Can't get that now because Iron Man's dead. The other one is Sam Wilson, the Falcon. Both of them actually carry the mantle of Captain America for a brief period of time, and then Captain America in the comics, I believe, comes back. Now, the continuity issue, which I actually prefer MCU's take on it, is while Captain America was away, he took on the character Nomad. Nomad was actually the character he was sort of personifying in Infinity War, because he was on the run from the Sokovia Accords. So,
but yeah,
I can appreciate all that.
Yeah, but there's just... It's funny that you can appreciate you can appreciate changes, but if it's another change, you're like, nope. Like,
again, minor changes to make relevant, I am cool with. And again, he did pass on the mantle of Captain America to Sam Wilson.
Making hubby daddy is a huge change.
Again, Alexei was part of the Super Soldier program, and he was only able to be part of that so long as Hydra had the Super Soldier formula. Hydra went defunct at the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you had to place him somewhere, and Black Widow was already 25 to 30 at that time. So, sorry, I'm okay with this change.
We will forever disagree. I'm just still trying to figure out where your lines are so that I can figure out, like, how you fit these things. But you have these, like, little jigsaw pieces that have to perfectly fit, or they're just, no, that's horrible.
You know, I think the fairest thing to do is to pick another film. Because we had already established Mortal Kombat, we already established Braveheart, we already established the MCU, X-Men, if you want.
And here's the thing. Again, so I know nothing about Mortal Kombat, which is why I enjoyed 1 and I enjoyed the new one. Annihilation was just a trash heap. We agree on this one at least. You prefer the MCU.
We don't talk about it at least.
I don't. Here's the thing. It's like, I don't hate the MCU at all whatsoever. I do think that it is a good set of movies. I don't think that it is the amazing feat that a lot of other people think that it is.
Where I think the part that you're missing is not so much the story of the MCU and all the characters in it. I think it's more of the concept. Never in cinematic history has it ever been done where actors take up the role of a character in a 3-part film, which is a traditional studio's take on things, a traditional studio deal, but then bring these 4 to 8 characters together in their own set.
Absolutely. No. That I appreciate. That is a feat, and I appreciate that entire thing, that entire idea, that entire concept. Whoever thought of it is a genius, and whoever got them to sign it is a genius. Well, but the movies, I guess for me, the movies by themselves are decent. Most of the movies by themselves are not amazing movies. They are decent. The storyline as a whole, like if you want to say the entire thing, is a good storyline. Okay, from, from the very first Iron Man to the newest Black Widow, like it is a really good storyline, and they've done a decent job with like the jumping through timelines and going back in time and messing with time, and Doctor Strange gets involved, so now technically they can do whatever the fuck they want. I hated the fact that they added Doctor Strange. Anytime, I understand that you have to have the time stone in there for the whole thing to work, blah blah blah, fine. But once you add time travel or time into anything at all, I start to lose respect for anything that they happen to have, which is why I wasn't a huge fan of Days of Futures Past, only because once you include time travel, there is no more canon. Like, it does not matter, because it's like, oh, well, I stepped on a flower when I went back, so this person was never born. Because, because the husband didn't pick this flower to then propose to the wife to make the sister angry, who ended up screwing later in a hate fuck. Like...
And what's funny is, of all of the time travel films, which I think it's Days of Future Past, Avengers Endgame, Back to the Future, that saga...
their time travel was horrible. No, their time travel was absolute trash.
I'm not gonna negate the mechanism of time travel.
No. I like the mechanism. I love the DeLorean and the fucking like fruit processor on the back. All right, that I 100%. I am all for that. But everything that's happening, you're disappearing. Okay, why? Well, there had to have been something that happened, which means that this dude fucked up, and now he's like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna make you go pretty much fuck your mom so that you can still be born.
Okay, so let me, again, so you have Days of Future Past, you have Endgame, you have Back to the Future, and then, funny enough, the game, the movie, the game, Mortal Kombat, all deal with time travel, right? Of all of them, I would say that the worst one is Mortal Kombat, because it gets way too convoluted, even for what's called a multiverse. You have two different variations, and I am no astrophysicist, but to my understanding, there are two variations of time travel. You have the one that's very linear, where if I go back 10 days and I move my car over here, then something in my new future doesn't happen.
Correct.
Unless I put that car back. All right. That's linear. And that's what Back to the Future deals with. All right. Days of Future Past also deals with it. But Days of Future's Past deals with the concept of sending a consciousness back in time. So the linear aspect of it makes more sense. All right. Whereas Endgame deals with a multiverse. Branched realities, basically. You have Loki now in 2012 that somehow escaped. And now a branched reality has been created out of that, yet this timeline's still going, and the original 2012 timeline still existed.
Which, like I said, any time that anything like that, I understand that time travel is a really cool thing, and that everyone has done it, whether it has been in The Simpsons, Futurama, it does not matter. Everyone has done time travel. The only one that I think did time travel right is, The Twilight Zone, because he basically he goes to the future, everything is destroyed, he can't get back, that's the end of it.
Okay.
I'm 100% for that. I am all for traveling forward.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like when they travel back, change something, but then still have all of their memories from things that technically never happened at this point.
Well, okay, actually there's a fifth, now that I think about it, and that is The Legend of Zelda, but The Legend of Zelda doesn't deal with time travel. What they do is they deal with the possibilities. So, and it all stems from the Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
So you have 3 branches with the Ocarina of Time. Link cannot wield the Master Sword, so the chamber keeps him for 7 years. All right. And then 7 years later, he fights Ganondorf. One of 2 things happen. If Link wins, there is the timeline that continues on.
Do you get another point for this one? Because you brought up Zelda randomly.
Well, no, because it does make sense. Because you're not necessarily dealing with time travel, but I think if you actually looked at the what's called Hyrule Historia, they do such a good job of telling you here's all the possible outcomes of a branched reality.
Oh no, you've already gone over this. Isn't it like Majora's Mask is actually Ganon winning or something like that? Or here's the thing: no. the only Zelda games that I have played is The Legend of Zelda and the Ocarina of Time. That is it.
Okay.
I have not played any of the other ones. They were kind of fun, but I am not a single player. I especially since I've become an adult, I don't play single player games because I like the reason I play games is the same reason that we're doing this. I like the interaction with people, whether it is us yelling at each other because we think each other's opinions suck, or we're agreeing that Annihilation should just be annihilated from all of our memories.
What's Annihilation?
Exactly, but this is why I actually play video games. This is why I do those types of things, is because I like the interaction with people. This is my social life at this point. I don't go out because you go out, you go to Tipsy Goat, you have your fun with hanging out with certain people. Myself, I can have fun with 2 or 3 people, but if there's that one annoying person that's always there with those people, I'm probably going to make her cry. And I say her because normally it's a female that's trying to get in everyone else's pants, pissing somebody off, and not realizing that they're pissing people off, then saying something stupid, and yeah, it's
okay. So maybe my tolerance is a lot higher than yours. Even though I hate people in general.
I can't stand stupidity anymore. I used to be able to tolerate stupidity. Now I can't. Like, I can understand ignorance because that means you have not learned, and that means you can be taught. Stupidity is a whole category of its own. It means you refuse to learn.
You would probably not be tolerant of like half the borderline community.
But that's what I'm getting at. Like, dude, you're
I'm fine with it.
Huh?
I'm fine with like stupidity, all right? Because stupidity, it's like either, all right, this is either something I'm gonna have to deal with, or I just sit back, grab some popcorn, and watch the show. Ignorance, like you said, I 100% agree with that concept. Ignorance just means
that's a child.
You don't know what you don't know. I'll disagree as to whether or not someone can be taught.
Well, no,
because not everybody can be taught.
But no, the whole thing is that ignorance is not knowing. Stupidity is refusing to learn. That's how I've always defined them.
Or just insanity, which is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Our podcast.
Right. Well, at least Heather's here, so that's new.
Heather!
Never joined us for our podcast.
Yes, bunch of hoes out there. Thank you, Heather.
But I guess where I'm more tolerant of people is I don't mind the stupidity or the ignorance. When I start having to separate myself from a certain equation, this is why I'm usually home by like 11:30, or I like to leave the bar around then, because nothing good ever happened at a bar after 12. All right.
I believe the saying is nothing good happens after 2, but I like no. There's an actual saying. Like, it's not just it's not just a Darrenism.
I know it's not. I know it's a saying, but I am dialing it back. Nothing good ever happens at a bar after fucking 12, because the liquor has set in at this point. Everybody has different types of personalities when they're under different types of alcohol. A lot of people like drinking tequila, and tequila makes people fucking like ready for a fight.
So with that, that's why I loved the rave scene when I was growing up, because if you give me a drug, well, not me personally, like I'm not going to take it, but if you name a drug, I can tell you within like a pretty good percentage of how that person is going to react. There are a couple of outliers, like some people on PCP, you really can't tell what they're going to do, but if they're on acid, K, doing EKG, whatever, like if you name off any of like the normal rave drugs, I know exactly how they're going to react. Now, if you introduce Budweiser because it's a massive, I have no idea what kind of drunk that frat boy is going to be, but I can tell you exactly how he's going to act when he's on E.
And Heather's just like, this is why I stay home and cuddle with my boyfriend.
Thank you.
I'm over at the bars unless it's him. Okay, that's only because you have a boyfriend, because I have hung out with you when you didn't have one and you were at bars all the fucking time.
Oh, busted.
Yeah.
Oh, was
Love
Heather?
you either.
Heather was one of them hoes out there.
No, Heather wasn't necessarily a hoe. She didn't sleep around, but yeah,
Okay.
Heather was actually one of the good girls.
Okay,
she was-
unpopular opinion.
Heather's
You don't have to sleep with people to be a hoe.
Heather's just a troublemaker. All right. So if she sees something happening,
Does she poke? Does she get her stick out and just?
oh my god, her like poking the bear stick is miles fucking long. All right. If she sees like a small like smolder of a fire, she will pour as much gasoline as needed to get that thing to ignite. I've seen this happen, and I have explicitly told Heather, shut the fuck up, because we don't need a fight at Joe's house right now.
By the way, Darren, get ready for your next DC. It should be happening in the next 5 minutes. I have this shit timed. No, just take the break when you DC. That's when you do it. Otherwise, you're gonna come back and you're gonna DC.
Taking my break now.
Oh my god.
I'll be right back.
Ah, this bitch. He's still there. We can still see him. We can't see him anymore. Oh my god. Yep. He's gonna DC again. But it's not going to happen until after he comes back, because that's how his Discord works. I don't know how it works, guys, but apparently that's just what it does. So yeah, he brought up Zelda, but it was somewhat relevant, so I gave him half a point. I'm telling you, he is going to find a way to bring up Zelda, Mortal Kombat, pro wrestling, or say the exact phrase for those playing the home game. Those are the 4 things he gets points for. And so far, it has been pro wrestling. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Mortal Kombat, but that was fine because, again, kind of a lead into it. But the Zelda timeline thing, he gets a point for that one. He has not stayed for those playing the home game, though. And he's actually been watching how he does things for a while since we started this timer. So I think it's working. But Alex, should I watch the new Black Widow film? I have not seen Captain Marvel. I have not seen Wonder Woman. I have not... God, I'd have to go back through the list of things. You didn't hate it. Oh, that doesn't really... There's a lot of things that I don't hate, but I would never have someone go and watch. Like, I'll be honest with you, I did not hate the original Mario Brothers movie, but I would never want someone to go watch it. I thought it was great just because of how bad it was. Okay. And, I mean, I understand that they want to keep going with this whole thing, but Endgame should have been the end of it. Alright. Okay. So as a spy film, as a spy film, as just an action spy film, it's good. So just don't compare it to the rest of the MCU, and it's fine. So as long as I compare it as like a standalone movie, I'm good. Alright. Alright, see, and that I'm okay with. And I think that's a big thing that Darren and I disagree on, is that his stuff is always comparing it to things in its category. And he's like, oh my god, it's the best thing in this category. And I'm just like, okay. But if you compare it to all of these other things, it's trash. Like, did you ever see the movie Haywire? Hey, Mom. Reminded me of, like, how Iron Man was, or even Iron Man 2. Okay. But yeah, Mark, did you ever see Haywire? With, oh my god, what the hell was her? She was the MMA fighter. Ronda Rousey. Like, an actual MMA fighter going in, doing stuff. And, like, a lot of the stuff was much more realistic. Like, the fight scenes were really well choreographed and everything. It was a horrible movie. But if you want to compare it to, like, on realism of these types of movies, it was an amazing movie. but it was a horrible movie. Antonio Banderas is amazing, isn't he? My mom loves Antonio Banderas also. She loves the accent. I think she really liked him in Zorro, is what it was. Okay, and here's the thing. Haywire, amazing cast. It was a bad movie. Like, I don't know how else to really say it. Like, it was just bad. I think half the movie was literally just watching this chick run. Like, literally just up close of her face, and then behind her, and then down below, and then like off in the side, and you see her like run past an alley. I'm pretty sure like a third of the movie was just her running. Yeah, see. Another movie that a lot of people like, and I'm really on the fence about. And this is totally unpopular opinion. I did not really care for Castaway. Like, I loved the idea of the whole thing, and if it was just a soundtrack of him walking on the beach, like I went back and I actually, like I said, if you've never seen it, you should. But I did not care for that movie. I love Tom Hanks. I really want to see Will You Be My Neighbor. I never saw the Mr. Rogers thing, and I want to see it. But there's just certain things about that movie. I'm just like, I don't know. I did not really care for it. I liked him in Saving Private Ryan. I think Forrest Gump is a very overrated film. What else has Tom Hanks been in that I have liked? He did well in Captain Phillips. I had heard the story of Captain Phillips long before Tom Hanks did it as a movie. So, I mean, it was kind of nice to see that whole thing. It was fairly accurate from what the accounts were. So, I mean, that was always kind of nice. What else was he in? Like, there's this whole meme of if there's one person you never want to go on vacation with, it's Tom Hanks, because he ends up in these stupid things like Captain Phillips and Castaway, and I forget what the other movies are now. All right, Darren, what is your opinion of Castaway? Oh, he can't. Hang on. He can't hear me.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I'm just getting situated again.
But yeah, what is your opinion of Castaway?
Castaway with Tom Hanks?
Yes. See, I love Tom Hanks, okay?
Okay.
He's apparently one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. I like him in a lot of his things. I did not like the movie Castaway. There were parts I did like, but I did not like the movie itself. Ready to go.
I liked it. I liked it in the sense of if you were that lucky to have a FedEx plane, not that you would ever want a plane crash, but if a FedEx plane were to crash and still have all of the delivery, the boxes that you were intending to deliver, to have those random things like ice skates that you could use as sort of a machete, etc. I like the film in that concept. Where I probably would have appreciated it more is if he didn't have any of those tools at his disposal and he would have to straight caveman it and figure out how to make tools from scratch. I would have appreciated that more. But I think in the context of what it was, he had these tools at his disposal. That's what helped him survive. I love it. I thought it was a pretty realistic take on what would, if you were able to think of these things. And when push comes to shove, people underestimate the ability to survive.
Some.
So,
I'm going to say some, because there's a lot of people, no matter what their ability is or whatever it is, will automatically just give up, and they would have just died on that beach 6 days later. Or 4 days later, or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was his contemplation, too, and that'd be a pretty sucky death. I
mean...
Jumping off that, high point.
Oh, you mean with the short rope? That would have broke his legs? Or the long rope, I mean? Yeah, right, but that was also after he'd already spent some time there that he contemplated that. No, I'm talking about long before that. There are a lot of people that would have just been like, well, this is it, and they would have just died of dehydration or starvation or whatever, because that's
What I
the
like
end of it.
doing, like I binge YouTube when I go to sleep, and some of the series of videos that I watch, one of them is on cat.
See, guys, if he had just waited, all he had to do was wait 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's it. But no, Darren had to be like, taking my break right now, this very minute. He could not wait 5 minutes so that this wouldn't have happened.
All right, we almost had that.
No, we did not almost have this.
I thought I was.
You
I thought it was
literally.
free and clear.
No, you. I said, hey, Darren, you have 5 minutes before you crash. What did you do? You took a 5 minute break, and 5 minutes after you come back, you crash.
Yeah, but at least I took my break right at the hour mark. So.
But if you had waited for like an hour 10, you could have crashed and been like, okay, hey, Discord is telling me when to take my break. But I guess
And
Mama didn't raise no
20
bitch.
20 seconds later, I'm back. Anyway, totally. Oh yeah, so like what I binge watch when I go to sleep, one of them is a series of videos, and of them is professionals' reactions to certain films and giving them their take on the realism of it. Are they all 100%? Probably not, because you like survivalists, for example. Could you probably find more than one survivalist that will negate the other? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because
there's different ways. There's different ways to skin a sheep.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a survivalist that rated Castaway, and he actually, I believe, he rated it pretty high, because of the plausibility of all the different elements that they brought to the table, like being able to recreate fire, being able to find food, being able to find shelter. And a cave is probably one of the best places to be. I would negate that a little bit because an island is usually the creation of volcanic activity, if I'm not mistaken. So earthquakes would be pretty prevalent. And if I'm not claustrophobic, but if I'm in a fucking cave, that's the last place I want to be if it's an active fault. So
actually, it would probably be one of the smarter places to be, because if it is an active type thing, and it's there, it means that it has survived. That is probably one of the more sturdier things that is there. The only thing you probably have to worry about at that point is literally a volcano going off.
Nope, because if that ground shakes hard enough and that cave comes down, you ain't getting out.
The chances of you getting off the island anyway are pretty slim, but
right.
And it all depends on what island you get stuck on. Because look, if it's an island up by like Greenland, fuck yes, I'm taking that cave 100% of the time. But if it's an island like Hawaii, where it's going to be wet but warm, you're right, I might be able to find something else.
So, what was your question in regards to Castaway?
Oh, no, it was just, so I was going over the Tom Hanks movies while you were gone that I liked and didn't like. Like Castaway, it's arguably one of the better movies that came out towards the end of when we were in high school. There were a lot of movies that came out, but it was one of the ones that probably was more acclaimed than a lot of the other movies, just because it was something that, yes, it was done before, but not to that degree. Tom Hanks did not say anything for 45 and a half minutes.
Well, again, with Tom Hanks, generally, even the lowest rated Tom Hanks movie is going to be better than most of the movies out there.
Right. So. I think Forrest Gump is horribly overrated. Like, I am not a big Forrest Gump fan. I never really have been. It was kind of funny, and to me, Forrest Gump is a serious take on a parody movie. I would almost put it in the same category as, like, Not Another Teen Movie or Scary Movie or something like that. Because it's like, I saw them people, and I thought they needed a flashlight, so I called the police. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you on most of it, with the exception of underestimating the simplicity of a Southern boy. And as being in the family of Southern people, I can tell you right now,
it wasn't just simplicity, though. The guy actually had a learning disability.
My uncle, and I know he doesn't watch my stream, so I can talk about this. Because he almost refused. He just got a smartphone a couple months ago. The dude's in his 60s. All right. He has refused to adapt from technology. He actually contested his request for discharge from the Air Force back, I believe, in the 70s or the 80s, because they refused to let him go to church. This dude, you cannot be more simpleton than my uncle. And if you want to picture what he looks like, think Sling Blade. All right. Love my uncle, but he's one of those that specifically separated himself from society because he wanted to just live his own life. Therefore, he has no knowledge of these things in the outside world that we all take for granted. So, for example, even just a simple computer, not my 4 or 5 monitors, no, not my webcam or fucking microphone, no, just a computer in general is far-fetched to him. Mrs. Holmes, so your dogs are going to start barking.
Yes, they are. See, if you just waited. Why are you like this?
So,
but anyway,
Forrest Gump, I agree with you on it. It's just the idea that the character Forrest Gump takes things with such a grain of salt, like, president of the United States, he was nice.
No, that's
part actually Southern people.
No, and that part I'm okay with. But the fact that they literally put him in so many things, like if it was just about him going to Nam, absolutely 100% I'm good with. God damn
it. No, I heard you on that, and I actually agree with you on that concept. I think they tied in so many different events from history just to make people giggle.
But that's what I mean. Like, at a certain point, it becomes a parody movie.
That's called cheap heat. You're getting cheap heat. Oh, he's the reason the smiley face is created. That's cheap heat. Oh, I invested in some fruit company. That's cheap heat. All right. So, oh, fuck you for 32.5. And second of all, motherfucker, I never said anything about professional wrestling. I just used the fucking terminology. Because it makes sense. It's cheap heat. It's an easy way.
Yes, but it is you relating something to professional wrestling, Mortal Kombat.
I didn't relate it. I just used the term because it worked.
And by the way, you got half a point for bringing up Zelda, even though it did work with our conversation.
Was Zelda randomly ever on the list?
Yes, Zelda was on the list.
Oh, well, you might as well make that a full point because
no. I'm good with it because it did relate. It did kind of relate to our whole conversation about time travel, but how random that was, along with Mortal Kombat, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. You get a half point for the two.
All right. So your opinion of movies and your fucking counter are no longer credible.
That's fine. But no, seriously, like Alex is like the reason that he learned his dance. Okay, I'm good with a slow Southern boy being a world-class ping pong player. I'm totally, that is believable because those like incredibly high-functioning people are absolutely amazing at certain things. Disassembling and reassembling weapons, 100%, because I've met that motherfucker. Okay. Running back into battle to save someone because, well, he's my friend and I wanted to save. Again, 100%, I believe these things. And if it had stopped at Vietnam and him going back and getting with this chick that had treated him like shit for years, I'm good with. But then Elvis, fucking Watergate, all of
bring it up.
All of this other, and like, no, all right, I'm sorry, you do not become part of Watergate and like all this, just no.
Again, that's called cheap heat, and I can't really say I'm not
so tired of stupid things. My headset died.
Wait, your headset. So your headset is directly wireless, or can be wireless, I should say. Mine's wired in all the time.
I take mine out because I get up, I walk around.
I had a wireless set. I still have my wireless, but it just constantly cut out left and right on Call of Duty. So I'm like, fuck this.
So I'm actually totally sidetracking away from Force. Oh, by the way, I also brought up Saving Private Ryan and Will You Be My Neighbor. I really like Saving Private Ryan, and Will You Be My Neighbor I have not seen, but I really want to see it because I think Tom Hanks would make the perfect Mr. Rogers. I've always thought that kind of a thing. That if there was ever a recreation of Mr. Rogers, that either Tom Hanks or Keanu Reeves should actually be Mr. Rogers. Tom Hanks just fits the role so much better, but I think the personality of Keanu Reeves would also work well with it. I think Keanu Reeves would make a better Reading Rainbow.
I'd agree with that more than Mr. Rogers, because Tom Hanks, I haven't seen the Mr. Rogers.
I haven't
Mr.
either.
Rogers film. I've seen clips, and he fucking nails it.
But just knowing how Tom Hanks acts and the fact that he is considered one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, and Mr. Rogers, it works. And the more I find out about Mr. Rogers and the things that he did, like I think I brought it up on a thing before, but do you know why he verbally announced all the things that he was doing?
Well, I do remember him taking I think it was public television, or no, public cable access, something like that. He is the reason we have public access to television.
Yes.
So he went to Congress to, I believe, vocalize a need for public cable television.
Mm-hmm.
And his foremost priority was making sure children were educated. Now, there's all sorts of other things that you can lob in there, like public information, emergency situations, which I believe is where we got the emergency broadcast system from.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that was a direct result of Mr. Rogers. I think that was like a subset result. But public cable television, and I forget the name of the channel. They would do things like the Mr. Rogers Show and Reading Rainbow and all that. That was all because of his testimony at Congress.
So he would actually voice, and he would actually like speak out loudly the action that he was doing in the intro, like feeding his fish and everything else, because he had brought up that he had fish, and one of his viewers was blind, and actually wrote into him saying that he was worried that the fish weren't being fed. And so then he started actually saying out loud that he was feeding his fish. Also, it was illegal to swim during segregation. It was illegal to swim with a black man. And so that's why they did the whole mailman thing with their feet in the pool. You know, this is nice having our feet in this little pool here. And he pushed that whole thing. But again, I love Tom Hanks and a lot of the stuff that he does and everything else, but I just think that Castaway, as realistic as you want it to be and everything else, it's fucking Gilligan's Island. Like, it's been done before. It was just done with a much higher quality of an actor. But it's been done 1,000 times before.
With what other film? I've never seen Lost, so that's...
No, but the whole thing is that being stranded on a desert island has been a gimmick in cartoons for years. It's been a gimmick on TV shows for years. The crash landing and just being stuck because of ship, whatever. I brought in Gilligan's Island because it's the most forefront in my mind of a shipwreck on an island. But
let me ponder this one.
Go for it.
There are so many gimmicky things out there that have either been made into TV shows or movies.
Yes.
Right? Would you say Castaway ranks among the best of them in terms of its assuming that everything happened according to what happened in Castaway?
Okay.
That is the most realistic take on a actual desertion.
No. And purely because the biggest thing that makes it completely unbelievable is the thing that you say made it good, which I agree with you that the fact that it was a FedEx thing that went down that made it interesting and different is the most unbelievable thing of all. The fact that not only did he survive, but he also got lucky enough to have all of these things handed to him. No.
Where I'm gonna negate that a little bit. So my question was, assuming everything happened according to the way it happened in Castaway, would Castaway be the most realistic take on a desertion? Therefore, that means if it was a FedEx plane that went down with FedEx boxes that had skates, a volleyball, videos, you name it, Is that a realistic take? Because that's assuming that's exactly what happened. In a realistic desertion, first of all, if you're in a plane, it's probably going to be a charter plane, not a jet. It's probably going to be some regular airliner, not a FedEx plane. Just, speaking on statistics.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, you're not going to have those utilities available. So you would have to do a multiverse of what would happen given the fact that you don't have any of those tools. And if they made that film and he still survives somehow, then maybe that's a realistic take on a desertion. But to counter that point, yeah, it's a desertion. It's something gimmicky that's been done before, but that's not to say that movies I had all the greatest success in making something gimmicky into a realistic film.
Okay, so I will go back to a conversation we've had before, but it is the whole thing of if you put Castaway in a genre of island survival things, yes, it is the best of. Okay? Like, it's literally, I'm trying to stay away from the whole thing, but it is literally going straight back to the Mortal Kombat movie of, if you rank it with normal movies, it's trash. If you rank it with only its own, it's amazing. So if you rank Castaway in a group of survival-type movies like that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on a desert island. There's a bunch of these post-apocalyptic movies, like The Book of Eli is another one that kind of uses society that's been in this whole wasteland type thing. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a really good movie. You should watch it if you haven't.
There's also I Am Legend, which deals with the post-apocalyptic version of zombified humans, basically.
New York City, but it's been cut off from everything else, so technically there's... But what I'm getting at is that if you're looking at these in very, very small genres and putting, well, only, 20 movies fit into this genre, yes, Castaway is the best one in that genre. I don't really think that most movies in that genre would be considered a good movie.
Now, where I'm going to debate this is, I think actually Castaway is better than a lot of the movies that are out there.
Okay. Yes.
But I have one issue, only one issue with Castaway, and that is if it was a fucking FedEx plane, I'm pretty damn sure that there is a signal it would emit to let FedEx know around where this plane possibly have crashed.
Well, yeah, because they have all these... Okay, I'm sorry, but just the average person on the internet would be like, hey, where's my package? They could have typed it in and been like, your package is en route.
And guess who would be the first group of people en route nearby that location to look for survivors? The U.S. Navy. Because they're all over the place.
I was about to say Karen, wondering where her vibrator was, but yeah, fine, we'll go with the Navy.
No, shut the fuck up. No, it's the U.S. Navy.
Yes.
There's submarines and warships all over the world that would have gotten a message from FedEx saying, hey, we have a downed plane. We think it's within this vicinity. Can you go check it out? And sure enough, they probably would have located the island and seen the wreckage. And boom, he wouldn't have been on there for as long as he did. That's the only issue I have with the film. But other than that, pretty realistic, and the way it was delivered is better than a lot of films that are out there, even outside of its genre.
And the thing is that is purely due to Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks is, like I said, he's an amazing actor. The movie in itself, I just feel like that idea... Yeah, Tom Hanks had to carry the whole thing. Like I said, there was a 45-minute period where he did not say a word. Like, Tom
Hanks could make a film on the construction of paper and make it an amazing
film.
I'm
pretty sure he has. Isn't he like the new Mark... what the hell's that dude's name that used to be on Double Dare that now does How It's Made?
Oh, God.
Mark Summers?
Yes.
Mark
Summers.
I think that, like, guys, if something happens to me, do me a favor and try to get either... Tom Hanks, Samuel L. Jackson, or Morgan Freeman to say my eulogy, please.
Oh, I thought you were like portray you in a film, and I'm like, who would work?
It would work. There's a couple of people that might work. Chris Pratt, actually, from The Office, I think would make an amazing me in a live-action version.
Chris Pratt
From Chris Pratt from not The
Guardians?
Office. Yes, but not from Guardians. It would have been from Parks and Rec. Yes, I think he would make an amazing me. Thank you, Alex. But Darren's gonna DC in like another 6 minutes. I don't know why, but your shit hates you. It's every 10 minutes. And
I don't use Discord for any reason other than you.
I know it hates you. You hate it.
We've beaten this horse so many times that I don't even think there's any bones left. Alex is like, sorry to everybody, but Chris Pratt is my spirit animal. That got shot down. I already know who would. I already know the list of who could potentially play me in a film, and I know Ewan McGregor's up there because I've been told by many people I look like him.
I was thinking Mr. Magoo.
All right, first off, fuck you. And I'm not giving you the stone cold fuck you. I'm giving the fuck you.
Homer Simpson would be another one. Although
about actual actors.
Oh, okay.
Asshole.
I was about to say
Thank you for mentioning the fact that him and I share the same hairline.
No, I was gonna say he has too much hair for you, so maybe not. Darren's gonna kill me in my sleep one of these days. Guys, if I ever wake up dead, it was Darren.
Yep. Inglourious Bastard style with a pillow.
Say again, Missa?
If you ever wake up dead?
Yes, if I ever wake up dead, blame Darren.
I'll leave a note for Missa and say, don't blame me.
Oh, he'll even leave you a note that says, don't blame him. But,
Hey, hold on, what the fuck? So yesterday when we were playing, you mocked, I clipped it, and put it on YouTube, but you mocked me in Call of Duty saying, no, I was wanting them to come for the fucking loadout. And all of a sudden, you chew me, or not you mentioned it to Missa. I think Missa told you to shut the fuck up. And then you said, no, it was Darren being loud. When it was you clearly on the fucking mic being loud, Missa gets on the mic saying, Darren, shut the fuck up. I don't like either one of you right now. Well, you ever, but this is on my shit list right now.
Missa, apparently you're on Darren's shit list right now for telling him to shut up yesterday. She honestly really loves you. Like, you are a good person.
It's debatable.
Fine, I won't spread good rumors about you. But
that's how rumors start.
One
She's like, yes, I remember. That was some bullshit.
Yeah, it's Missa really can't be on people's shit list.
No. I only know Missa through interactions via Discord or Twitch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Never met her in real life, and I'll actually agree with Alex on that one.
She's amazing. Like, I've been with her now for almost 7 years. God, it's been a long time.
6.
This year will be 7. It'll be 6? You sure? You sure?
Well, 6 would place you at 2014. 7 would place you. Actually, 7 would place you at 2014.
6.
So 6 would place you 2015.
Okay, sorry, 6. It feels like an eternity. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I'm still like, I was doing like the quick math on it, and for some reason, I'm still thinking I'm in 2020.
2020 never ended. All right, we're just in 20.
I'm not sure 2020 ever started.
We're fine. What are we in? Like 2019, month 31.
2019, part 2.
Part 3? Or not 2019? Even my mom knows. She's amazing. But no, what I was going to say is that I need a really good recommendation on a pair of headphones that don't have a microphone. I don't need this shit anymore.
Okay. When it comes to peripherals, Logitech has always been my go-to.
Yes, but I don't. The thing is that I actually want something for sound, and all the Logitech headphones are gaming headsets, which is cool. But I don't need it anymore. I've got my like $200 microphone sitting here. I don't.
Your substitute, and I've never used it on a computer, so I cannot verify its credibility in terms of stability. But the alternative to Logitech for just about anything else when it comes to sound is Bose.
So
JBL's been up there, but JBL's more or less the concert / club speaker, as opposed to just headphones. I know they make headphones, but I don't know how good they are. I know how good they are in terms of the club and the concerts and all that. Whereas I know Bose is great for the studio speakers, the headphones, and everything like that. But when it comes to computer headphones, my go-to is always Logitech.
okay, so I have been talking to a bunch of people about this, and Sennheiser has been brought up quite a few times.
Sennheiser's great. Sennheiser is better when it comes to the microphone, but not a streaming microphone, a recording microphone. One perfect example of this is Seth MacFarlane. The way he got the character Quagmire was old 1950s commercials. In those 1950s commercials, the microphones were more akin to pick up on volume and decibelity when the voice was at a mid-range and you were speaking at this kind of tone. That's why they all talked like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-range was where it was at. Sennheiser is great because of the sensitivity it can pick up on different decibelities and different pitches. But that's as a microphone, not as a set of headphones.
Yeah, so I've been talking to quite a few people. I've talked to some DJs, actually quite a few people in the music industry, apparently. I don't know why, but I have a lot of access to people in the music industry now. Like, the fuck, people.
You get around,
whore. Absolutely, 100% a whore. But, like I said, I want something that, and it doesn't have to be wireless. I'm totally okay with it being hardwired. Oh, I thought you DC'd. Like, ha, I knew it. But I'm okay with it being wired. Does not have to be wireless. If it is wireless, I mean, that would be kind of a bonus, but I am going for something that is really nice now, and it's something that, like, my whole thing is that, so for the longest time, I was always with, okay, well, whatever is cheapest, and whatever works. And that's not my mindset anymore. Now I don't just want what works, I want something that's nice. Which is why I'm sitting here in a $300 chair. Yeah, I could be sitting in, like, a normal office chair that I pick up from Home Depot for, like, $38. But instead, I'm sitting in a Secret Labs Titan with lumbar support and with, 6 directional arm holders and a completely reclining thing that supports up to 400 pounds and blah, 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 bell, whistle, whatever.
So I live in 3 different worlds, all right? The first world is I can't have nice things because they break. So why am I going to spend the money on them? All right.
Okay.
I just need something that works. Then I live in the world of I stick with this product because I'm loyal to a brand or I know the quality that I'm going to get out of it. All right. You could put Samsung in that category. You can put I really won't say you can put Logitech in that category, but in terms of loyalty to the brand, you could put Logitech in that category.
Okay.
The third, it's more specific to music, but you can apply the concept to just about everything. When it comes to music, I've been in certain studio situations where we just play and record for the fuck of it. Right? Just get something out. I've also been in studio sessions where you are trying different skins on a tom because it sounds better with the guitar or the bass. You're trying different cymbals because that will go better with this kind of guitar effect. All right? You get everything down to the fucking detail.
Okay.
So in my experience, when it comes to streaming and computer gaming, the happy medium for me is between brand loyalty, because I know the quality of the product I'm going to get out of it, and overall exceeding the purpose, at least meeting the minimum requirement. So like you, I don't give a shit necessarily about wireless. Do I prefer it? Yes. But at the end of the day, I want function over form. So one of the issues, like I was telling you, that I had with my old headset was the fact that it was constantly cutting out in Call of Duty, making it impossible to hear people or whatever. And it was a pretty decent delay that it would reconnect. this is a peer-to-peer USB stick. It's not Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Then I had a Bluetooth keyboard, and I would wind up with a delay on the keyboard.
It's actually why I don't do wireless on any of my peripherals except for my headset. Everything else is hardwired because I don't like the lag. And the lag used to get me killed in WoW.
So lately, as of this day and age, this technology, I have not run into any issues when it came to peer-to-peer wireless mouse and keyboard. When I say peer-to-peer, I mean it has its own USB plugin. It's not Bluetooth. All right, Bluetooth I still have issues with, even Bluetooth 4.0. But when it comes to the headsets, I went back to going wired because I want function over form. I can deal with the cable and manage all that, but I still stick to the brand with Logitech. Why? Because I know the quality I'm going to get out of it. I know it's going to last fucking forever.
See, and mine didn't. I've had mine started screwing up on me after like 6 months.
Yeah, see, and I don't know how much of my advice is actually going to help you, but at least one of those 3 that I gave you is going to give you a good sense of direction. So you as a streamer, you might, especially if you get like big enough to where you become like partner level, you might fall into the category of picking and choosing and dissecting everything between the graphics card that you use and the power supply that's required, all the way to the microphone and even the fucking pop screen.
I mean,
might use.
I am a brand whore. Like most of the things that I buy, like peripherals, are Razer. Like my earpods, my mouse, my keyboard, even my mouse pad is all Razer. The problem is that the Razer headset is a good headset, but there's all of these extra functions that I don't need, which means if you have extra functions, it means that you're taking away from something else. Like the headset you're wearing right now, if it did not have the wiring in there for voice, and it did not have that extra stuff in there for voice, as a wireless headset, your battery life would probably last longer. It could be lighter. It could be a completely different style of thing, even if it was the exact same headset without the compatibility for voice.
And that's, I would say that's only as debatable as maybe design form, because you see the size of these headsets. If you were to actually open them up, you would see all the inner working components of it. There's not that much. You can pop them off. Yeah. So right there, and again, I have the same ones. Mine are just not wireless.
No, I get that. But if you go to the back side of it, I've got a volume control on here that, I'm sorry, you don't really need a volume control on your headset. I've got these like 6 buttons that are for different settings, like presets and everything else. Same thing, I don't need those types of things. There's all these extra bells and whistles that are taking away from, and it's also, every time you add another bell or whistle, it's another thing that could go wrong. And so,
well, that I agree with. The concept of taking away from something else, I disagree with.
By the way,
however,
I just turned my headset off and back on. I had to lower your volume down now because now my headset is working properly. I had you up at like 90% volume this whole time because my headset was shitting out. I turned it off, turned it back on just now, and I had to turn it down to like 40% because you're coming through much more clear now.
So when it comes to functions like volume, is it a necessity? No, because I have a volume here and I have a volume on my keyboard. All right, I can access either one of them fairly fucking quickly. Probably one more quickly than the other, or one I'm just more used to. All right. I don't think Logitech goes into that thought process, let alone any other peripheral manufacturer, because not everybody is the same. So they're probably going to come up with this version of the headset, which you and I am guessing have the same version, just one's wired, one's wireless. All right. Then you have the basic bitch headphones. Why? Because we need to make this one because there may be someone that needs all these fucking forms and functions that may be doing this for like DJ shit. But then we have the...
He lasted a little longer than I thought he was going to. Not much, but a little bit. but yeah, like I was saying, I've talked to a couple of people about the whole thing, and I just need to find a good brand. And I know that it's going to be personal preference, and that's the thing that's going to be the biggest thing is personal preference. But I'm trying to get a decent idea from people whose opinions I happen to trust. Darren, as much as an asshole and everything you are, I trust your opinion when it comes to sound quality, because you are much more particular about sound quality than majority of the people that I'm going to get, some kind of information from.
So I guess when you state it that way, if I were actually on a studio,
basically, I want my highs and my lows to be true highs and lows. I want the sound of the footsteps to be the sound of footsteps. Like, I just want it to be very defined, very...
So you're limited to what the game provides, right? And I don't specifically mean Call of Duty. I'm talking Overwatch. I'm talking any game that you play. You're limited to the quality of what the game provides, right? So if the game provides steps that sound like this,
we can't hear that because your pop filter and your settings are not letting anything come through. No, it mutes you because it's loud noises on your settings.
Oh, that's why. All right.
No, any type of... So whenever you laugh really loud, it also cuts you out. It's a Discord. It's a Discord setting.
Maybe I have to talk talk when I'm doing it. So if I'm making sounds in the game that sound like this,
no, you're not getting it, Darren. Like, this is the beauty of the stuff that we're using. It gets rid of fan noises. It gets rid of jackhammering outside. We don't hear you typing. Like, I can sit here and whistle, and you're not going to hear me because it's outside of that decibel range.
Let me phrase it then. If I were to take 2 cans of beer
and slam them around,
smash them together, or smash them on my table, and that's what I make footsteps sound like. And I actually heard that, by the way.
Yeah.
If that's what my footsteps sound like, then I'm sorry, but not even $1,000 set of headphones is going to change the way that sounds.
No, but
you're going to be able to adjust. You're going to be able to adjust the clarity and the bass of it and the mid range of it. But at the end of the day, it's still going to sound like 2 cans smashing on a fucking table.
No, and you're
not going to get away with that.
No, and that's perfect because that is the sound that was used, and I want it to be that true sound. I understand that 2 beer cans on a table are going to make a certain noise, and I'm okay with them making a certain noise. And if that is the noise the footsteps are, I'm good with this because that's the true sound that what the game is doing.
But how do you know that? Because there's what's called movie magic or TV show magic, where what they usually use for the sound of rain is dropping rocks onto tile floor or concrete floor, recording that, and then adding a little bit of reverb to it or a little bit of mid to it, and all of a sudden it sounds like fucking rain. Why? Because actual rain would drown out certain audio that you're trying to record in a fucking scene.
Yes.
What you're hearing in the movies and the TV shows isn't actually what you think it is. Bacon in a grill sounds like rain if you close your eyes and think about it. Your mind can get tricked that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at the end of the day, you want you want equipment that serves the function first and foremost. Secondly, the only time you ever want to dissect something is if you're actually looking for a specific solution to a certain type of sound quality, and I would not allow that to be a certain sound effect from a video game.
So I guess the 2 things is, 1, I want it to be a good sound quality. Okay. Like, and that is going to be about 40% of...
Sorry, your mom's like, what happened to Tom Hanks movies?
Oh, we moved on topics.
we moved on. Love Tom Hanks movies.
Yes, but so the quality...
Make more movies. Just don't make us rescue you again.
For like the 12th time. Oh yeah, that was one of
Matt Damon.
That was one of those jokes. It was like people you never want to go on a vacation with.
Right.
But so about 40% of my thing is going to be sound quality. And the reason I say 40% is that I play a lot of games. My headset is on a shit. I mean, fuck. I have a dent. Okay.
Wow. You have a hairline dedicated to.
Yes. Yes. This is what happens when you have hair, Darren. But the other part of it is that it needs to be comfortable. And if I can get a headset comfortable that sits, above and actually works like this to where I can not have the hairline, then that's it. But like 60% of what I want is comfort and longevity for wearing and usability, whatever. And then the other 40 is usability. And it's not a 50-50 because I am willing to give up a little bit of sound quality for comfort, but I'm also willing to spend the money that both of them are top tier.
You're going to want to look into the hybrid of studio headphones that make them for computers as well, that are USB based. And the reason why I say that, you're probably looking at Sennheiser or Bose or AKG. So AKG, I throw in the same boat as Sennheiser. Their output might be not as good as Bose, but they're going to be up there.
So also, it does not have to be USB. I fully intend on actually putting a small mixer and a soundboard that goes with this entire thing. Well, the soundboard just going to be more fun things that I can do on Twitch and stream.
So, are you actually going to be doing sound effects,
yes,
on the fly as
yes,
things happen? Okay, that makes sense.
And
that is the only reason why you would need a mixer board. You're also going to need a preamp for that. Right?
But like I said, that's why I'm kind of talking to you about the whole thing, and I figure this is like a decent time to bring these types of things up. Another thing. So, Darren, what are you doing tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Thursday?
Yes.
I'm going to my folks' place, take care of their house and the cat. They're on vacation right now, and then.
Do you want to get lunch?
Are you going to be in the area?
No, but I can be. I'm not working tomorrow. See, that is the beautiful thing about my job, is that, like, I talked to my boss today. Yeah, it's like, oh, are you going to be somewhere? I can be. Like, where do I need to be? No, miss, I was not planning on going to the VA. I still don't even know if all that shit is open or not, to be 100% honest with you. And not necessarily the VA. I don't need to go to the VA. It would be the base. And I have no idea what the base is doing with people that don't have IDs right now, which is why I'd like to talk to Joe if possible. If not, whatever.
When we leave the stream, I'll bring him in here on Discord, and you can ask him directly. Okay,
cool. But yeah, like that. I know that's just something random, but I have not been to see me in a while, and I figured why.
I don't live in see me.
I know, but that area to me, if I go to that area, it's going to see me. All right, because what do you mean no? Aren't you in like TO or like Newberry or something like that?
I am, but it is a shorter commute going from Simi to the San Fernando fucking Valley. It is a shorter commute to the first city you encounter in LA County, which is Northridge, Chatsworth. It is a shorter commute from Simi to Chatsworth than it is from Simi to Moore Park. It is a shorter commute than Simi to Thousand Oaks. And
okay, that depends on what part of Simi you live in.
No.
Yeah.
I don't care what time of the day it is. If you are on Madera Road in Simi Valley, it is a shorter commute to Chatsworth than it is from Madera to Moore Park or Madera to Newberry Park.
No.
Sorry.
So
I deal with it every fucking day.
So Simi is 9 miles long. Simi is 9 miles long. So from Madera to Rocky Peak and the other side of Rocky Peak is over 9 miles. Mm-hmm. All right. Madera
How fast is that?
No, hold on. Madera to College, which is 2 miles away, which is the next exit, is Moore Park, because that's Moore Park College, is 1.45 miles. How do I know?
Guess what? If you're going from west to east on the 118, how many lanes do you have? I can tell you.
Hold on. Depending on which part of the freeway you're on, you have 3 or 4.
Madera.
Madera, you have 3 lanes that then drops down just past Madera to 2, but then opens up. Right, hold on. It opens up right.
You're going the other way. You're going the other way. I'm talking about Madera to fucking LA.
Okay. So you have 2 to 3, and then as you get down the freeway a little bit farther, it does become 4.
And you get a 5th.
I don't really count the 5th because you get the 5th once you hit Rocky Peak. That doesn't even count.
No, you get the 5th at Yosemite.
No, Yosemite is a straight exit. Yosemite comes on its turns and gets right back off at Yosemite.
Nope. You get the 5th at Yosemite. So, going the other way, you only get fucking 2 lanes between Madera and Moore Park Road. No, Collins. Between Madera and Collins, you only get 2 fucking lanes. And at most of the times in the day, you're dealing with college hours. That's not including accidents or anything like that.
So,
right? I deal with this every Tuesday and Thursday.
So
every Tuesday and Thursday.
So now the thing is that you're bringing up one, your parents live like pretty much smack dab in the middle, and arguably the other side of the middle, if you really want to call it that.
If you're gonna argue anything on it, it would be the east side of Simi,
yes,
north of Cochrane.
Yes, it would
which is one of the busier parts.
Okay.
One of the.
But same thing. If you're off of Madera, I mean, I can make it to TO way quicker than I'll ever make it to Chatsworth off of Madera because I would take Jan's. And I would take that back road straight into the backside of the whole thing, which is what I used to do all the time.
So when was the last time you did it?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. I haven't lived out there in 7 years, 6 years, something.
Mm-hmm. So every Tuesday and Thursday, getting from Newbury Park to Simi.
Also, it's summer, Darren, so there's much fewer college kids out there.
I've been doing this for the last 6 years. And as a matter of fact, it takes me almost the same when I was living in Wood Ranch, which is the southwestern side of Simi. When I was living in Wood Ranch, it would take me the same amount of time as Newbury Park.
To get to your parents?
To get to my parents. All right?
You need to learn to drive. You know, I used to be a driving instructor. I can help you out with this.
I'm an aggressive driver. All right? And there's nothing you can do about fucking stopped traffic. Nothing you can do. So, every Tuesday, Thursday, nighttime. But when I say nighttime, it's like 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock-ish.
So you're talking about literally driving during rush hour.
Okay, yeah. When do people normally commute on the fucking freeway? During fucking rush hour.
If I were doing something with my parents, I would not be driving there during rush hour. I'd rather go there later or earlier and avoid rush hour because that would be the smart thing to do.
I'm the 8 to 5 dude, so I can't avoid rush hour.
Of course you can. You show up at 8 instead of showing up at 6.
So before I go to work?
No, in the evening.
Oh, so I show up when they go to bed.
Or 7, but you go after traffic. It's just like I'm not going to spend, like, I've actually even canceled on going up to my parents' house. I was more than halfway there when I hit Vegas traffic and it was going to take another 4 hours to get there. I turned around and went home and said, sorry guys, I'll see you next Christmas. Because I'm not going to sit in that kind of traffic because it's not worth it to sit in that kind of traffic.
Hey,
I'll plan things around it.
I partially agree with you. It's just there have been times when just getting from Wood Ranch to, the middle of Simi has taken more than fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
I'll be at my folks for maybe an hour.
So my question with that, why don't you just do it on the weekend then? Why don't you just do brunch with them on Saturday?
There's a point and purpose to my schedule. So I was doing this before I, moved out and got my apartment and everything like that years ago. I do everything in stages just so that way there's some sort of way of everybody, not just them, but me as well, getting used to the fact that we're not having this interaction. All right. And you get into a particular schedule. Nobody questions it. Nobody worries. So my family is very tight knit. Kid you not. Me and my dad.
Story time.
Me and my dad share each other's location. I share my location with a couple other people.
You don't share it with me.
No, I don't want you knowing where I am.
Damn, that's rude as shit.
Sorry, it's very selective.
No, you're fine.
But anyway, so my dad knows my position, and for some reason, my location stopped at the fucking Kaiser, and he texts me saying, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" "Oh, because I saw you were at Kaiser." I'm like, "No, I wasn't. I was at Best Buy, which was right next door."
Ah.
And I'm like, "You're a fucking creeper. You need to fucking stop." All right. But that's how tight knit my fucking family is. So I knew if I did everything in stages as opposed to doing cold turkey, crash convert, everything would be fine. Eventually, yes, I will wind them down in terms of the number of days that I go there. Right now, I go 4 days a week.
Yeah, that's a lot. And yes, Mom,
they have.
Well, the freeways themselves have not changed. The amount of people on them have changed.
No, the number of lanes have changed as well. The 23 freeway has 3 lanes at one point. I think 4 the closer you get to the 101. So.
Yeah, but no, I think she's talking about the 118. The 118, I don't think has
specifically. No, that hasn't changed in forever. But they are expanding the 23 and 118 interchange. So.
Oh, the bridge?
Mm-hmm.
They need to. That thing, like, there's what 3 or 4 deaths there a year from people like getting blown off the side by semis.
No, not by semis. It's suicides. People jumping off of it.
No. Like there was actually a story of a woman that had her kid that was sitting on like the side, like her car broke down on that thing. She got out of her car. No, but no. Apparently, she got blown over the side by a semi going by.
I mean, I didn't hear about that, but I wouldn't be surprised because there's literally nothing to save you on that interchange.
That's a big fucking drop too.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how high that drop is. I can't even really guesstimate. I want to say 100 feet, but
yeah, easily.
It's a gigantic drop.
Yeah. But I don't know about the bridge specifically, but I do know they're expanding on the freeway right now. We just got another lane coming towards the 101.
Here's the thing: unless that bridge gets expanded, it doesn't matter how many lanes you put on either side of it, because that's the bottleneck on both sides.
And this is where I contest Ventura County's thinking, as well as Simi and Moore Parks. It's like, dude, I get that you're expanding the number of roads, but clearly you didn't foresee having a fucking college and just building more residences as opposed to shit to do in Simi in general. No, we're going to focus on building more residences and more grocery stores. Why? Because that brings in money. All right, cool. Economically, I get that. But what you didn't account for is the number of people that would coincide with the number of cars on the fucking road and the lanes you have at your availability. So now they're finally catching up and they're expanding on it.
So it's actually kind of crazy how many colleges are near that area.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I sat down and thought about it one day, and there's like, I think it's 9 or 10 colleges within like a 10-mile radius of a certain point.
From what point?
So
what center?
Center would be somewhere probably in the hills, with Northridge, Pierce, and Moore Park kind of being like the outer edges, because then you also still have Channel Islands, you have Ventura, you have...
That would be beyond 10 miles. So
Ventura's a little bit farther, but Channel Islands isn't.
If your epicenter is going to be in between Simi, Woodland Hills, and Calabasas, then yes, you have CSUN, you have Pierce, you have Pepperdine. Technically, you have
Pepperdine's way out there. Pepperdine is on the beach. Like, Pepperdine's literally on the ocean.
It ain't far from your mileage count, man.
No, because Pepperdine is on the other side of the 101, on the other side of Canaan.
I'm aware of that.
So
I'm aware of that, but it ain't far from your diameter.
Okay, maybe it was a 20-mile radius, but anyway, it was not that far of a radius that we like looked at a map, and we did include Pepperdine, we included Ventura, we included Oxnard, and it was just this like everyone's a cop in Simi. Darren's a cop when he lives in Simi.
Yes, but funny enough, Simi cops don't live in Simi.
That's actually normal.
Well, that most of them.
That's actually
it's very normal.
No, most of LAPD actually live in Simi.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of a common thing, at least within a liberal state like California. cops that live or cops that operate in a certain city do not tend to live there.
That's actually normal outside of rural area.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a very normal thing to happen.
Yes.
Because they don't want people that they come across, quote unquote, to know that they live in that town and to find out, especially in a technological day and age, to know where they live.
They also don't want you letting your buddy off the hook. Like, that's the big thing is that, so you can know you're one sheriff. Like, there's one sheriff in the city that my mom was born, out in Nebraska. And it's the point that, like, when my dad was out there, her uncle got a call saying that, hey, a couple of Mexicans stole your truck. It was my dad, my mom, and my grandfather. But they, it was something out of the ordinary. So
anyway, Joe's waiting on me for Loki. It is now 8 o'clock.
I'm telling you, see, you just watch the same movies over and over again.
No, it's not. It's a TV show. It's new episode aired tonight. It's actually the last episode of the season.
Let me know when you want to talk to Joe. If you are down for tomorrow, go ahead and do what you need to. I'll be on for a couple of hours still.
I can bring him in right now once we end the stream.
All right. Let's see. Who should I raid tonight?
I like how you say I, because the only person watching my stream is you. So I'll go ahead and close mine down.
Well, I mean, I don't know who you're going to raid, but I mean, I know who I should raid. Actually, I don't know who I should raid, but who should I raid? There's really not anyone to raid. Fuck it. Not raiding anyone. Guys, I will be on a little bit later to stream properly. Wait. I'm supposed to raid DLH?
No. Stay on for a sec. I'll go grab him.
Yep, not a problem. Yeah, guys, I'm just going to end it here. But I will be back on probably in an hour or so to play some games and actually do some stuff. So if you want to play games with me, let me know. I'll be back then. Until